What's good, everyone? Today I'm with Jasha. What's good, Jasha? Introduce yourself.
Hey bro, so yeah, Josh, I've been in the online space for a little while. I actually started out in uni for a year and a half studying exercise physiology. Sort of got roped into that. Someone who's sporty in school, didn't really know what they want to do, got into that and realized I was 18K in debt after a year and a half and hadn't made any money from the degree,
Mm,
was hating it, and everybody around me was complaining about uni as well. So I
yes.
decided to get rid of that, start my own car detailing business while I was working in a hotel. So she was pretty hectic. Dropped the hotel job, just went all into car detailing, and it was good. Like we're working with myself, with my brother, and we're going on making good money. He was making $50 an hour, some jobs $100 an hour. So it was pretty good. But then one afternoon, we're literally driving home from a job and it's 5 p.m. on the highway, bumper to bumper traffic. And we're
Yeah.
just going, fuck, like, this is the exact same thing as a 9 to 5. Yeah, you're working for yourself, but
Yeah.
there's not much difference to it. There's no freedom. You're still locked into that sort of schedule. So that's when I really started to contemplate things
Mm,
and, wait up. Like, was this something I wanted to do for the rest of my life?
mm.
Yeah, I was working for myself, but it's still, pretty backbreaking efforts in the sun 6, sometimes 7 days a week.
Yeah.
And that's something I just didn't want to do, you
Yeah.
know? So I really had to start looking into something else online.
Yeah. Damn. Let's bring it back to uni. So, what you were in uni, you said for about a year,
Yeah, year and a half, year and a half.
year and a half. And for you, like, obviously, I know you said you were $18,000 in debt from the uni and you
Mm.
hadn't made anything back. I mean, did you not, I suppose, want to finish it and then potentially get a job doing that? Or like, where was your sort of head at?
Yeah, I mean, it was something I could see myself doing if it was just like the work side of things. Like I really do enjoy
Yeah.
helping people. I'm really into my fitness, like, put two and two together. It's a fucking sick career. But when you sort of look at how much the average, physio was making or exercise physiologist was making, fresh out of uni, it's like 60K,
Yeah,
which
wow.
if you're in Australia at the moment, that's cooked. Like you can
Mm,
get up towards 80K, 100K,
mm,
but really it just starts to cap out around that, like, 150, 160K. And
mm.
that's sort of when you've got your own practice and you're
Yeah.
sort of running things. And that kind of money after the tax man takes a decent amount, you're not really going to be able to get too far ahead. Yeah, you might have a nice house, a nice little family. But for me, I want a big fucking family. I don't want like, a little three-bedroom house with four kids who are struggling because that's sort of what I've gone through in my childhood, single parent, and really going through that. So something I didn't want.
Yeah.
So yeah, if it was just the work side of things, probably would have continued
Mm,
going down it. But when I sort of looked at okay the work and also the money didn't really add up, and then also the fact I was going to be 55K in debt at the end of my degree, having made no money from the degree or whatsoever,
mm,
and then not even being guaranteed a job. Like
yeah.
that, I feel like that's the biggest thing, as well as the fact that I was gonna have to do 8 weeks placement, which a lot of degrees do,
Mm,
out in the middle of whoop whoop in like middle of nowhere, and
yeah.
it's all unpaid. Like you have to pay for your own accommodation and
Yeah.
everything, and it's I that just didn't sit right with me.
Yeah. So it was like it was something that you, I suppose, somewhat enjoyed. I mean, it was something sports and
Hmm.
exercise, something rather. Sorry,
Yeah,
I don't exactly remember it,
yeah,
but it was something
like,
you're passionate in, and you actually, I suppose, somewhat saw yourself doing. But again, it's like more looking at your goals, looking at the money you can
hmm.
make, looking at, I suppose, return on investment in terms of uni. Like you're not guaranteed a job. You're gonna be 55K in debt. You're only really gonna be making what 150K a year. Is that not really much to you? Like 150K a year is not enough.
Nah, bro. Like you look at the average house prices these days. Like I live on the Gold Coast. My average
Yeah.
house is like really getting close to $1 million,
Yeah.
and that's sort of pushing it. Some of them are like, how the fuck is that even selling for 1 million? It
Mm.
looks like the house down the road, which you would drive by as a kid and be like, oh, that's not the one I want. As
Yeah.
picky as that sort of sounds, like
Yeah.
I'm not sort of a picky person, but at the end of the day, if you're wanting to buy your first home,
Mm.
you sort of want to enjoy living in it, right? You don't want to
Yeah.
be in it going, oh, fuck, I kind of settled for this. You want to be able
Yeah.
to live in something you can be proud of and be like, yeah, what? This is my first house.
Mm.
I wanted to do this. And yeah, being in uni, I just didn't feel would get me there. Plus the fact that, you're already 55K in debt, that definitely plays a big part in you being able to, like, apply for like a first home grant. or even, really get your
Yeah.
first property. It's a
Yeah.
massive thing. I don't feel like a lot of people actually talk about with that kind of things.
Mm, mm. Yeah. No, I get where you're coming from in terms of just like, yeah, you can save up for this $1 million house, but it's like, you look at the housing prices these days and how much it
Mm,
would be to actually afford the home that you would want for yourself. It's a
mm,
lot more than $1 million. You need to be making a lot more than, 150K a year
mm,
to be able to get there. And like you said before, you don't want to settle for the average or settle for the bare minimum. Like ideally, you want to be able to buy what you want, what you want for
exactly.
yourself, for your family, that sort of thing. So you sort of realize that what, like last year?
Yeah. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was honestly near the end of 2023 when I
Okay.
really
Yeah.
started
Okay.
to contemplate it and
Yeah.
be like, I know, I don't know. Actually, no, it was midway through 2023 because
Okay.
I started my degree in 2020, yeah, started 2023. And
Hmm.
I really was like, honestly, don't know. Started contemplating at the end of 2023.
Mm.
Still did that second half or that first half of the second year.
Mm.
And that was just the point where it's like, draw the line in the sand.
Yeah.
There's no point continuing further.
Mm. And when did you sort of get to that point? Was it like something that you feel like you've always been facing, or was it something that kind of happened like midway through, or
Hmm. Yeah, I felt like going to uni wasn't something I was like super ecstatic about. I know
yeah.
I was definitely that kind of kid who tried pretty hard in school.
Mm.
I got pretty decent ATAR, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I went into uni sort of not really, I wasn't like pumped up to be like, yes, this is exactly what I want to do with my life. It was
Mm.
just sort of that thing where I was just coaxing through. I did get in school, this degree, sort of semi hard to get into. I'll just go into that. I like sport.
Mm.
Just follow the line of like the easiest, line. Path of least resistance. Just
Mm.
going through things at the own pace.
Mm.
And I mean, that didn't really get me anywhere I was happy with. I sort of
Mm.
felt like I wasted a year and a half not
Yeah.
doing
Well.
something because it wasn't something I was really passionate about. I was just rocking up to uni every single day, not realizing I'm getting this much in debt, going through all the stuff, being late with getting content in, whatever it may be, just because it isn't something I was truly passionate about. I
Yeah.
feel like that's so much more important than just, money or anything like that.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you have to be passionate about what you're doing.
Mm.
And that's just something I wasn't overly passionate about, even though
Okay.
I'd still have, those sprinkles
Yeah.
here and
It was like something that, you did enjoy doing because it's, it's sports, you're a sporty person.
there.
But again, you were saying you're sort of like, I suppose doing your assignments last minute, like something you weren't really looking forward to
Mm,
do. So I suppose you kind of came to the realization where you're like, okay, I don't like it now. What's going to make me want to like it, 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line,
exactly.
sort of thing. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. And so you sort of came to that realization, well, like midway through, was it?
Yeah, midway through
Yeah.
sort of that first year, and then
Yeah.
still kept going along because I was like, oh,
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. But
Yeah.
when you look at that, it was kind of a stupid decision.
Yeah.
When you're with a chick or a missus, if you notice some things come up halfway through,
Yeah.
you just brush them off. It's eventually gonna
Yeah.
you
Yeah. Yeah.
get fucking heartbroken in the end. You may as well bring it up. Same kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And for you, your sort of like attempt at solving that problem where you're like, oh, I don't want to go to uni. You're like, okay, I want to start my own business.
Mm,
You started that detailing business with your brother.
yeah, my
That
brother.
was
Yeah.
actually going pretty well, right?
Yeah, it was going pretty well. We definitely started out a little bit of a rough patch.
Mm,
That was only source of income was only a couple hundred every single week. It was definitely pretty rough.
mm,
But yeah, really started getting to the point where we were scaling, getting booked out pretty much every week.
mm,
Was consistently making $50 an hour. Like I said,
mm.
some jobs $100 an hour, depending on the job. There's
Yeah.
pretty decent high end packages you can do on
Mm,
different cars, which pretty good. Definitely a satisfying job, but yeah, like I was saying, like it's just more of the same. Like a lot of
mm.
people always say, "Yeah, I want to start a business," but then it's like, don't the people don't actually realize all the back end stuff you got to do with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Like you'll be working out there in the sun, 6, sometimes 7 days a week,
Mm,
and all you got to do when you get home, is all the back end stuff.
yeah.
Whether it be cleaning, washing up, ordering new products,
Yeah.
keeping other people in line, paying people.
Mm,
It's just like so much.
yeah.
It's such a step above just a normal job.
Yeah.
And when you look at the freedom I was having with it, yeah, I essentially could have had my own time freedom where I could say, yeah, bro, like I don't want to work this amount of days. I only want to work 3, 4 days a week.
Mm.
But like that wouldn't scale the business.
Mm.
You know? And a lot of people would say, well, bro, why not just thug it out for 4 or 5 years? Bro, 100% like probably that is a decent option.
Mm.
But when you look at it, if there's all these other different options out there that can essentially come quicker by just learning some skills, because I feel like that's the only thing that separates a lot of people these days
Mm.
between those successful and those aren't is the skill set. So if
Mm.
you can see all these other people who are making stupid amounts of money in less amount of time by simply just learning a set of skills, for me it was kind of a no-brainer to go, okay,
Okay.
I'll start it while I'm still doing my business, really try and
Mm.
thug it out that way.
Yeah.
Now I've sort of got two options I can go with, which definitely was I put myself in that fortunate position to be able to go, okay, my backup option is my own business. Like that,
Yeah.
I was definitely proud of that.
Yeah.
I'm not sounding like a cocky kind or anything, but
Yeah.
it's definitely a lucky position to be in.
Yeah.
But even then, I still felt like putting my back against the wall with something online was eventually going to be a better option.
Okay. Okay. So like in terms of the detailing and everything, like it actually was going pretty well in the sense you were making
Mm,
good money, $50 to $100 an hour. That's fantastic. It was
mm,
enjoyable somewhat. It was just like you realize that in order to scale it, in order to make more money, you're gonna have to put a lot more time into it. You already had very little, I suppose, time freedom to actually enjoy the things you like doing. And I was like, fuck,
mm,
man, like if I want to make even more money, I'm gonna have to commit even more, even though I have such little at the moment.
mm.
And even before you were saying it was like, you were stuck in bumper to bumper traffic and it was like, dude, I'm basically in a 9 to 5 still, even running my own business, even making a little bit more money. So for you, it was just like, damn, yeah, I'm making money, but at what cost?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I think a lot of people come to that realization as well. Even for me, like I was making good money in construction, and I was like,
Mm,
yeah, like you work 12-hour days and whatever, but it's like, what is the point of, I suppose, making this good money if you don't have time to spend it or time to spend time with your family, your friends, or even with
mm,
your own hobbies and things you like doing. So that
mm,
was sort of, I suppose, what made you want to look into, you said, learning skills, getting into online stuff. I
mm.
mean, how long have you sort of been looking into that now, or I suppose been in it now?
Yeah. So it was something I feel like a lot of people always just look into, whether it be just in small things on
Yeah.
YouTube, Instagram, TikTok as you go
Yeah.
along. So it's been a couple years since I really sort of was looking into it.
Mm.
But now I've been in it for a little while and haven't worked my detailing job in 7 months.
Mm.
So it's been a pretty good thing, but definitely starting out, it was one of those things where it is like a real progression.
Yeah.
It is a real grind. It's not something that people always see. Like you see the flashy 16-year-old kid with a Lambo
Yeah.
that's fucking rented for 2 hours to get some photos in. Like
Mm.
people always just see that and go, yeah, bro, like that's me in 6 months. And it's like, just listen to yourself. What you're saying doesn't add up. Like you got to sort of have a sense of realism with things, but also not so much of a sense where you're being delusional that you don't think it could work out.
Yeah.
Like you really, in my opinion, you really got to walk that fine line of like delusional confidence in yourself that you can make something work,
Mm.
but also a slight sense of realism,
Yeah.
which it's just common sense, but common sense isn't too fucking common these days.
Yeah.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah.
yeah,
So for you, it's like, yeah, I think it is a pretty common misconception that people think like online stuff is like a get rich quick scheme,
mm,
or you're gonna get into it, wake up tomorrow, be a millionaire. It just isn't like that, right?
mm,
Like when it comes to actually learning proper skills, it does take time, it does take effort. But I mean, nothing that actually is good comes easy.
exactly. Yeah.
So for you, I mean, like how long until when you first started looking into it and actually getting involved with it, learning the skills and everything, did you sort of start making, money, your first bit of money,
Mm,
that sort
So
of
for
thing?
me, around 2 months after first starting, like actually
Mm,
getting a decent amount of skills on my belt and
mm,
actually understanding what was going on, I
mm.
got my first appointment setting role.
Okay.
Where I was just sending DMs for business owner. She had her own like marketing agency. Was
Hmm.
just sending DMs for her,
Hmm.
and I believe she still does that now.
Yeah.
And yeah, was just pretty much in her DMs because a lot of people reaching out to her, trying to do what she was doing.
Mm,
I just messaged her, booked them on a call with her. Anytime she closed a deal, I'd get a commission or
hmm.
what she was selling. And then, yeah, that was sort of how I got my real foot in the door with actually starting to make a bit of money. And yeah, I mean, I kind of almost got forced out of my job because around the same time, after a month in of having that appointment setting job while I was still working, I broke my arm. And
Yeah.
obviously, detailing, like, you can't, I mean, you could still do it one-handed,
Yeah.
but it was my left arm that I broke. So
Yeah.
I can definitely still use my right arm.
Yeah.
But it would have just slowed things down like crazy. My brother was still doing it, so he sort of took over the reins there, and I sort of took that as my sign to go, fuck it, like just broke my arm. That doesn't really happen to everyone every
Mm.
any day. So
Yeah.
I sort of took it
Yeah.
from there, ran it from there, and then yeah, sort of started making enough to replace my income through appointment setting.
Mm.
I'm like, okay, sweet. Got to the point where my arm was healed
Mm.
and didn't feel like I had to go back to work.
Mm.
And at that point, I had an extra like 2 months under my belt with really getting the skills down. Started building more of my own personal brand with things. Started posting my own content, and then
Yeah.
really started getting into diving a lot deeper with sales and getting into like remote closing. Where
Okay.
now, like I'm the
Okay.
one actually closing the deals
Yeah.
and really building up skills and building up confidence that way.
Mm. Okay. So yeah, it's been a bit of a journey. You started out with setting. You made a little bit of money. What was your
Mm.
first paycheck sort of look like?
Um, Sure, I think it was like $220, something like that, in like
Yeah.
45
Nice.
minutes. Which
Yeah.
first getting into it, I was like, well, I
Yeah.
thought it was him. I was on a walk. I just
Yeah.
got the notification that the deal closed, and I was like hype as fuck. Like, it was the coolest
Yeah.
thing actually being on the opposite side after seeing all these people make money online for so long, and now
Mm.
you're actually someone doing it. It was
Yeah.
just sort of like a full circle kind of thing. And it
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
felt deserved. It wasn't something that was just like you sign up to something and then the next day you
Mm.
make money. It did
Yeah.
take some grinding to actually
Yeah.
get, $220 isn't a lot, but when you put in the grand scheme of things of, how much effort I put into things, how long I'd been thinking about it,
Mm.
it really did kickstart things, I feel.
Mm. Mm. No, 100%. It was, yeah, like you said, you put your head down for a while,
Mm,
finally got that payout. I'm sure it felt pretty crazy, but even, $220 for 45 minutes, like
mm,
that's pretty insane. That's
yeah,
a lot more than what, like
I
50
know.
bucks an hour working in your detailing job.
Mm,
And
yeah,
so you broke your arm. Unfortunately, obviously, I mean, most people can't work their job once they broke their arm, and you sort of
mm,
saw that as a sign to go all in because your arm's broken, you can still work online, which is great. And yeah, looked more into the content side of things, built your personal brand, and then now you're closing at the moment. I mean, what's
mm.
what's your biggest win, I suppose, out of this online journey so far, bro?
Biggest win, I definitely have to say, is making 2,800 in a day. That's
Yeah, wow.
pretty sick being able to make that amount from just taking a few calls, really.
Hmm.
Like,
And that was that like profit, like commission, or like
yeah, that was all profit, all commission.
yeah,
It wasn't
wow.
like a lot of these things you see where people say, yeah,
Yeah,
well, I made 60K this month, but
yeah,
I only took home like 3K. But yeah, that was,
yeah,
all profit, all commission. And yeah, it was definitely like such a rewarding thing, but still just kept me humble as well. Because
mm,
like, there's people who make millions of dollars in a week, and I was happy over 2,800 in a
yeah,
day. Which when you compare it to a lot of, I guess, average people,
mm,
for lack of a better term, now, that's a lot.
mm,
But when you really look at the grand scheme of things, it's
mm,
still nothing. So
mm,
it's definitely the biggest win, but also something that still has kept me humble going throughout.
mm. It's like you got the win, but you're not satisfied, sort of thing. You're
Yeah,
still hungry for
yeah,
more. Yeah,
exactly, exactly.
100%. So at the moment, like you're just full-time closing all in, and you've been
Mm.
able to make $2,000 in a single day. I mean, where to now, bro? You've been out of your job for, what'd you say, 7 months now?
Yeah, yeah, it's been 7 months.
Where are your sort of goals at, bro? Like moving forward, I mean, what's your goals for the year? I mean, where are you trying to go to?
Mm. Biggest thing for me this year was really a big focus on just giving back to my family.
Mm,
So started January. Goal for the year was to be able to get to a point where I'm making 30K a month.
mm,
Like I really actually start seeing a real difference in my life with that.
yeah,
I really want to start looking to probably getting my first investment property. I
mm,
want to really be able to travel. Was able to go to Canada earlier in the year. That was fucking sick.
yeah,
I want to be able to go to Bali. I want to be able to go to Greece. I want to be able to go to Japan. Those couple of things. Just be able to tick those things off the bucket list. But a big thing for me is actually helping people start all this as well.
yeah,
Because I know it's been a massive difference for me.
Mm,
my life.
mm,
So why not try and like afford that to somebody else? And I
mm,
know a lot of people say all the time, like, bro, if you're making like this kind of money, would you hold it to yourself? And it's
mm.
like, yeah, you could, but that's also like the most selfish thing you could do, you know?
Yeah.
In an industry that sort of rewards you for helping more people out because I don't know, you would have seen it, but anybody else watching this video, online, e-learning industry is set to just go like crazy over the next couple of
Yeah.
years. So it's like, why would I not try and help as many people as I can
Mm,
get into this kind of industry?
yeah.
But if you look up, Seek or Indeed, there's like thousands of remote sales jobs that all need people where you can start making 100K a year
Yeah.
after a little while. And all
Base.
of them, when you look at it, it's like, make sure you have got some sort of training. We
Yeah.
don't just want random Donnies jumping on because
Yeah.
it's not going to help anyone.
Yeah.
So yeah, big thing for me is get into that 30K month, really be able to give back to my family. But a big focus is help people start. So for me, I want to be able to help 20 people this year leave their job, being able to help 3 people at the moment, which is fucking sick,
Mm,
and then help 50 people just make their first dollar online, which I believe at the moment it's been about 8 or 9 of them really be able to
nice.
make their first
Yeah.
dollar online. So that's been a big thing for me this year.
Yeah. Damn. Nah, that's some good goals. 100%. I think it always has to be bigger than the money, right? Like,
Mm,
yeah, you can make 30K a month, but the priority is always going to be helping others, whether
exactly.
they're people you never met before and you want to help them get started in the online space or, helping your family, helping your friends, 100%.
Mm,
For you, I mean, I suppose you were sort of talking about like Seek and, getting some sort of training. I mean, what sort of best helped you get to the point where you're at now? Like, what did you do? What did how did you get your training? How did you get to the point where you're at now, bro?
So for me, I just definitely recommend anyone just invest into yourself. At the end of the day, you are one on one. You're the only person of you on this planet. So
Mm,
if you're going to be too scared to invest in yourself on training or whatever it may be, you're not going to get anywhere. So that's what I did. I joined ABC, and that's when I really actually started picking up things because I tried to YouTube for ages. You
mm,
get nowhere because every single video takes you to the exact same point at the end where it's like
yeah.
they breadcrumb you to start,
Mm,
and then you start, you might make a little bit of money, but
mm,
you don't know where to go from there.
yeah.
That was me for 5, 6 months,
Yeah.
just fucking pretty much hands on my ass, being a stubborn cunt going, yeah, like I can make this work, I can make this work, I'm making this
Yeah.
work. I'm dedicated. At the end of the day, you sort of have to drop that ego. And that's what I did when I actually started dropping my guard a bit and be like, okay, I need help from someone who has helped a lot of other people before and has made it work for themselves.
Mm,
Actually someone who's put in the work, proof is in the pudding. So that's what I did and joined ABC and then really got the training through there, really developed sales and marketing skills. And it's paid dividends. Like communication skills have gone through the roof, confidence has gone through the roof, and just personal development side of things has
mm,
really gone through the roof as well. Like there's so many different layers to things that people don't even realize. And it's more than just money, like you said.
mm,
It's really okay. What's the reason behind why you're doing it? Are you growing as a person? Because, in my opinion, and sort of what my main mentor has told me is like your bank account is never going to actually outweigh or surpass your personal development.
mm,
So if you don't have that in check,
mm.
then there's no way you're ever going to get to a point where
Yeah.
you really want to be.
Yeah.
So that was the biggest thing for me is just really investing into myself because, like I said, you are you. Like you're the only person who can change your life. So why not take that step and invest in you?
Yeah.
A lot of people will call it selfish or whatever, or you're spending money on yourself, and it's like, no, it's almost the most selfless thing that you can do because
Mm,
once you have the skills and you can start being more of a provider, you
yeah.
can impact so many other different people.
Mm,
I think it's just a big thing people sort of need to switch around it. It's like,
mm,
nah, you gotta like invest in yourself but first before you can start helping other people. And people say all the time on the airplanes, if a crash is happening, get your fucking oxygen mask first, put it on you, and then start helping other people.
mm.
The exact same thing, you know?
You got to be selfish before you can become
Mm.
selfless.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, even for me, I made that mistake. I made a little bit of money, gave it straight to mum.
Mm.
I realized I didn't have enough money for myself to keep
Mm.
going.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, like even for me, I feel a little bit selfish, not giving mum as much money as I could. But
Mm,
technically, I could give her more. But it's like, damn, bro, like I need to make sure I'm in check first, and I'm sure you're the
mhm,
same. And then once
yeah.
we're all sorted, once we're making, a lot more money, boom, we can pay out anyone we want,
Mm,
friends,
yeah,
family,
exactly.
whatever. Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I know you sort of covered it in what you sort of just said there, but I mean, to anyone that I guess is on the fence, well, I suppose taking that first step and
Mm,
I suppose making a change, because making a change in your life is scary. Like, of course it is,
huge.
you know. But I mean, for you, like, is there any, I suppose, words of wisdom or maybe something you would have told your, younger self back when maybe you were
Mm,
hesitant making a change? I mean, what would that piece of advice be, bro?
mm. I just, as cliche as it sounds, like just do it. Like you got to
Mm,
sort of look at what it's almost costing you not doing it.
mm,
Now, for me, I was looking into it for 5 months,
mm,
and I was like, okay, my main goal was 30K a month.
mm,
So that 5 months costed me progression to getting towards that 30K a month.
mm.
And if we want to look at it from the stance, what's that? 3, 6, 9, 12. That cost me 150K over that 5 months,
Yeah,
not starting something.
yeah.
You really got to look at it that way because if I had made that extra 150K, then how much more time could I have bought back with my family? How much more freedom could I bought? I feel like people just really have to look at it that way. Time is one of those things where it's the only thing in life that we can't get more of. It's
Mm,
constantly ticking away.
yeah.
But people just constantly wake up every single morning going, okay, sweet, I can start something next week. I can start something next month. I'll start this next year. You might get in a car accident fucking
Mm,
tomorrow. Like
exactly.
nothing's guaranteed.
Mm,
People really, I feel, just got to really start realizing that and understanding that they are the only person who can change their situation. The decisions they made yesterday led them to where they are today. And
mm,
the decisions they make today lead us to where we are tomorrow.
mm,
So, if someone's watching this and you're not in a position that you want to be in, as harsh as it sounds, it's your fault. Like, no matter what has happened,
mm.
it is your fault. But that also means that you can change it. You have the power to change it,
Yeah.
And the only thing that's going to change is if you change, if you take action on something.
Mm,
So that's honestly the biggest thing I'd say. Look at what it's costing you to not do it,
mm,
and how's that really making you feel?
mm.
For me, when I look back at it now, me just sitting with my hands on my ass for 5 months made me feel like the biggest piece of shit
Mm.
because could have already started working on these skills and putting myself ahead so I can give back to my family.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like that's just the best way people have to try and think about it.
I think you hit the nail on the head there, bro. Like I have spoken to people like yourself where you said, you've been looking into it for 5 months, but you didn't really know how to, I suppose, move the needle forward and get a better understanding. It's
Mm,
literally costing you money every day you don't know.
mm.
And people are like, oh, I don't want to invest in something because it's going to cost money, bro. It's costing you money not knowing.
More money. It's costing you more
Yeah.
money. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. No, 100%. And one last question, bro. Do you think there's a perfect time to start?
No,
Yeah.
like never. But there's no perfect time for anything.
Mm,
Like you look at that first little crush you had in school and middle school.
mm,
You're like, fuck, I'm not gonna ask her out, I'm not gonna ask her out. And the
yeah.
new kid comes in, asks her out first day.
Yeah.
And then you find out a couple years later that she had a little crush on you. And
Mm,
it's like, well, fuck me. I should have started. So, no, there's no perfect time for anything. People who just say they want to wait for the perfect time and that things are going all good right now.
mm.
Really not. Like, you're just lying to yourself, you
Yeah.
know?
100%. Best time to start was yesterday. Second best time is
Exactly.
today. 100%. Well,
Exactly.
thank you, Jasha, for coming on the interview. And
Appreciate
yeah,
it for having me,
thank you
bro.
guys for watching.